It happened in the blink of an eye. One moment, the crowded high school hallway was filled with the usual noise, slamming lockers, the squeak of sneakers on the linoleum floor, the low hum of morning chatter. The next, everything fell silent, except for the sharp sound of a book hitting the ground. Heads turned. Eyes locked. And there she was, Lila Morrison, the quietest girl in Westbrook High, standing frozen as a boy twice her size loomed over her, his hand gripping her shoulder like he owned the air she breathed. What happened in the next 10 seconds would leave the entire school stunned, shattering everything they thought they knew about her. It was the day the predator realized too late, he had chosen the wrong prey. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet strength that lives in unexpected hearts, please take a moment right now to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Ripple of Hope. Your support helps us keep bringing powerful true-to-life stories like this one to light. Lila had always been invisible. She sat in the back of every class, her head down, her soft brown hair falling like a curtain that hid her from the world. Teachers described her as polite and reserved, classmates barely knew her name, and she liked it that way. In a school where being noticed usually meant being targeted, invisibility was her safest armor. But under that quiet exterior lived a life few could imagine, a story stitched together by loss, perseverance, and an unshakable will to endure. Lila's mother had passed away when she was just 8, leaving her in the care of her grandfather, a retired martial arts instructor who ran a small, aging dojo on the edge of town. To most, the place looked forgotten, dusty windows, faded signs, but to Lila, it was home. And every day after school, while other kids hung out at the mall or scrolled endlessly on their phones, Lila was on the worn blue mats, her grandfather teaching her not just how to move, but how to think, how to stand, how to never give her fear an inch. She never told anyone about the years of training. She never bragged, never showed off. That wasn't the point. Her grandfather always said real strength was the kind no one saw until it mattered. And for years, it never had to matter, until Ethan Calloway decided it would. Ethan was the kind of boy whose shadow fell over the whole hallway. Tall, athletic, popular. The kind of boy who smiled at teachers and smirked at everyone else. He wasn't just a bully, he was the bully. People didn't cross him because he made sure they regretted it. And that day, for reasons Lila never fully understood, she became his target. She was at her locker, quietly swapping books between classes, when she felt the heavy presence behind her. A shove made her stumble, her math textbook slipping from her hand. Before she could bend to pick it up, a firm grip locked onto her shoulder. She froze, her heart thudding in her ears. Ethan's voice was low but carried the kind of mocking amusement that made every word sting. He had a habit of choosing the smallest, quietest kids, the ones least likely to fight back. To him, Lila seemed perfect, fragile, meek, unthreatening. But in that instant, as his hand tightened, something shifted inside her. She wasn't back in the hallway anymore. She was on the dojo mat, her grandfather's voice steady in her head. When someone takes your space, take it back. When someone takes your balance, take theirs. She turned, not slowly, but with a sudden, precise movement born from years of practice. His wrist was in her hand before he even realized she had moved. A quick, sharp twist, not enough to harm, but enough to break his grip, sent him staggering a step back. The hallway gasped. Lila didn't speak, didn't gloat. She simply picked up her book, looked him in the eye with a calm he didn't understand, and walked away. Ethan stood frozen, his face a mix of confusion and embarrassment, as whispers began to ripple through the crowd. 10 seconds. That's all it had taken to undo years of his unchecked dominance. For the rest of the day, the air in school felt different. People who had never noticed Lila before were glancing her way, not out of pity, but with a kind of respect. Ethan avoided her eyes in the cafeteria, his friends unusually quiet around her. And though Lila said nothing, the truth was this moment wasn't about humiliating him, it was about reclaiming something she had quietly been building for years. That evening, as she walked home, her grandfather was waiting at the dojo door. He didn't ask what had happened, he had seen it in her eyes the moment she stepped into the warm light of the room. They trained in silence that night, the steady rhythm of their movement speaking more than words ever could. Lila knew this wouldn't make her popular, and it wouldn't stop Ethan from being who he was to others. But it had stopped him with her. And sometimes, that's where change begins, with one person who refuses to be small any longer. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it so others can feel its message, and subscribe to Ripple of Hope for more stories of courage, kindness, and quiet strength. And before you go, I have a special request: drop a comment telling us about a time you or someone you know stood up in a moment that mattered. Your story might inspire someone who needs it today.